Good morning or good afternoon whenever you're watching this video. But today we are going to be talking about compositions of translations and reflections. Composition means basically do more than one. So AKA we're going to move a shape and then maybe flip it, or vice versa. We're going to flip a shape and then move it. Okay, so nothing quite new. We're just going to combine all of the things we learned together. So let's take a look at some problems. So example 1 says reflect ABC over the y-axis and then translate the image down 8 units. So I'm going to draw some random letters ABC real quick to help us out. Okay, so I'm going to reflect it over the y-axis. So the y-axis again is this vertical line, and then the x-axis is our horizontal line. And so I'm going to flip it to the second quadrant over the red line. So I'm going to count how far it is away. Now this is a little tricky because notice they're not going by ones. So it's not going 1, 2, 3, it's going 2, 4, 6. So they're going by twos. So A is 1 box away or 2 units. So I'm going to go 1 box away or 2 units on the other side. I'm going to label that my A prime because it was my new image. So same thing B. B is 8 units away or 4 boxes, so I'm going to go 8 units away or 4 boxes on the other direction to get B prime. So let's look at C now. So C is at a 10 away. I'm going to go 10 away over here. C prime. So once you've taken all those points, we're now going to connect the dots to get our triangle. Okay? So that image looks like it was flipped over the y-axis, so it looks good. So now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to translate it. So I'm going to move it 8 units down. And so this might be the hard part because I need to count by twos to get that 8 correct. So I'm going to go 8 units down. So notice they go by twos. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So A is over here at a -6. And I'm going to put a double prime, so 2 tick marks up there, because it's my second image. Okay? So same thing for C, I'm going to go down 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. C prime is here. Same thing for B, 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's on that x-axis. Whoops, I forgot the double prime on that C. Okay, so now I'm going to connect my dots. All right, and so again, I had a composition of a translation and a reflection. So I first reflected it, I have my primes, and then I translated it, so I have my double primes. Okay, so that is what we're doing today. So we're basically doing 2 things in one. So let's try another one. How about y'all try number 2? So I want you to reflect A, B, C, D. So let's go ahead and add some letters. A, B, C, D. So I want you to reflect that shape over the x-axis and then translate it 6 units to the right. Remember, our scale is by a 2, so each box represents 2. So try example 2 and press pause, and we'll go over the answers. So your final image should look like my red one. So I reflected the blue shape over the x-axis so it flipped down. Again, I counted how far it was away, and I did the exact same thing on the quadrant 3. My green shape then moved to the right 6, which was 3 boxes, and I put double primes because it was my second shape. Okay, so this is my pre-image, and then it moved all the way to my final image in red. All right, let me know if you have any questions on compositions of transformations. But we're going to try one more thing, and then you'll practice. So I have a polygon A, B, C, D. So it wants me to reflect it over the x-axis in the first one, and then it wants me to translate it in the second one. Okay? Then it says, hey, start over. I want you to translate it first, and then reflect it, and figure out if the shapes are the same. So basically, if I flip something, then move it, is that the same as doing it in the reverse order of moving it and then flipping it? So let's see. So I'm going to reflect A, B, C, D over the x-axis. So the x-axis is here in red. This graph is nice because it goes by ones. So C was 1 above, so C prime will be 1 below. B was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. A is 8 above, so 8 below. And then notice you can check at this y-axis that D is 6 above, so D will be 6 below at a -6. So that's kind of a shortcut. Connect the shape. All right, looks like a random shape flipped upside down. Okay. So find the coordinates of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. So A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. So coordinates being ordered pairs. So let's start with A prime. So A prime is started at 0, it's at a -2 on the x-axis, and then it went down 8. So -2, -8. B prime is hanging out in the positive, so it's at a +4 and then a -5. C prime is at a -4, then a -1. And then D prime is at a -6, -6. Okay? All right, so far so good. Number 2 says translate A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. So I shouldn't have drawn that in the same color, but I'm going to translate my darker blue shape using this rule. So back to translations, if it's a positive, that's going to mean it's going to go to the right or up. And since it's with the x-axis, the x number, it tells you you're going to go right. And then there is no number with the y, meaning I'm not going to go up or down at all. So I'm solely going to move this to the right 4. So let's do that in red. So take all the points and move them to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C double prime, moved it twice. B, 1, 2, 3, 4. A, 1, 2, 1, 2, whoops, 1, 2. All right, boom, 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 boom. Okay, all right, so that is my final shape. All right, it looked weird for a second. Okay, so now I'm going to find the coordinates of A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, D double prime. And I'm going to teach you kind of a shortcut real quick. So let me go ahead and write my space. Ooh, B double prime. All right, I always do that first. I don't know why. Okay, so you can actually look at the graph to figure this out, or we can look at our answers above in blue and literally just add 4 to the x values, and the y are going to stay the same. So for example, a -2 plus a 4 is a 2. And then I just rewrite that y value because the y value is not changing. So that's how you can kind of do a shortcut when you already have the points. So B double prime, I'm going to add 4, so I'm going to get 8. And then just drop down that y value, it's not changing. C double prime, going to add 4 to a -4 and get 0. Drop down that y value. D double prime, add 4 to a -6, which will give you -2. Drop down your y value. And you can check it out. So we can check to see that C double prime is at a 0, then a -1. That worked out. A is at a 2, and then a -8. That worked out. So 2 kind of ways of figuring that out. All right. So now I'm going to completely start over. So maybe you might want to get a different color pen or something like that. So we're going to start over. We're going to do it in reverse. We're going to translate it first this time. So I'm going to move the entire shape to the right 4. So I'm going to do that in green. I'm going back to my original shape, A, B, C, D, which is this original one up here. So everything goes to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. B prime, C, 1, 2, 3, 4. C prime, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. D prime. Connect, 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 connect. Okay? So I'm just doing it in the reverse order now. Their coordinates are going to be shifted to the right 4, and I don't really have a shortcut for this one, so I'm going to have to figure it out. So I'm going to write my coordinates first. A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. All right, let's go A first. So A is at a 2 and then an 8. B prime is at an 8 and then a 5. C prime is a 0 and then it went up 1. So 0 for the x, positive 1. And then D is at a negative 2 and then up 6. Okay? All right. So I moved my shape to the right, didn't move it up or down. So now I'm going to finally reflect my green shape over the x-axis and see if it matches my red shape. So let's see if it works in the reverse order. To save some time, we're just going to count. So B was 5 above. Is it 5 below? Yes. C was 1 above. Is it 1 below? Yes. D was 6 above. Is it 6 below? Yes. A was 8 above, and it's 8 below. It worked! Okay? So if I wrote out all these coordinates, I would get the exact same that I got in number 2. So they are the same as number 2. They are. So fun fact, you can reverse the order of something and it's still going to get you the same shape. Super cool, right? You're so excited. Okay, so just note with compositions of transformations and reflections, since they're all rigid motion, they're not really changing too much, so that you can move it and then flip it, or reverse it, flip it, then move it, and you'll get the same thing. That's cool. All right. You guys are now going to do some practice. So I've got 4 practice problems for you. I've given you graphs. Maybe you like to use a graph, maybe you don't like to use a graph. The graph will really help you on 1 and 2. You may not need the graph for 3 and 4. But see if you can try these problems about reflections and translations, and then we'll go over them. So press pause and try the entire back page. So let's talk about 1, 2, 3, and 4. So on number 1, I plotted my point A. I reflected it over the x-axis, which is this blue line, so it was 6 above, so it went 6 below for my A prime. And then I reflected it over the line x equals negative 1. So make sure x equals is a vertical line because it has to hit the x-axis. So it doesn't look like the x-axis, it hits it. So it's a vertical line through a negative 1. So if A is over here at a 3, and the distance between a negative 1 and a 3 is distance of 4 units. So I went to the left 4 and then to the left 4 again to get a final answer of negative 5, negative 6. With my face. Number 2, I was at a negative 4, 2. So I'm here at A. I reflected it over the line y equals 3, negative 3, which is a horizontal line because it has to hit the y-axis at a negative 3. So that was 5 above, I believe. So I went 5 below. And then I had to reflect this image over the line x equals positive 2, so a vertical line through a positive 2, which it is 6 units away, and so I went 6 units on the other side to get the final answer of a positive 8, negative 8. Okay? So make sure you go from A to A prime to A double prime. All right. Class dismissed. Just kidding. Number 3, the graph didn't really help me too much on this one. I liked to draw it 2-dimensional. So I have the image of the point 2, 4 is negative 3, 6. So 2, 4 is your pre-image. The image is negative 3, 6. So basically you have to figure out what happened, because then it wants you to repeat the thing to find the image of this point. So for example, 2 to a negative 3, you could use the graph and saw that it went to the left 5 or subtracted 5. So to go from a 2 to a negative 3, you subtract 5. So I said, hey, that's the rule. The y-coordinate went from a 4 to a 6, so that would go up 2, sorry. And so I'll put y plus 2. So here is my rule that works for those 2 points. So now I'm going to take that rule and repeat it again for some new point, which was 9, 6. So if I take the point 9, 6 and I subtract 5, and I add 2, I would get the number negative 14 and the number positive 8. The graph didn't really help you because it kind of went off the graph. but you can just think if you're starting at a -9 and you go to the left 5, you're getting more negative, so 14. And then if you start at a 6 and go up 2, you're going to get 8. Okay? So that's kind of a way you can figure that problem out. Let's do one more. Last one. So the image of point A after a translation, left 4 and down 1, gives us the resulting point B, -2, -4. Determine the coordinates of the pre-image. So I am working backwards. So it's saying, hey, going forwards, you're going to go to the left 4 and down 1 to get this point. But if I'm trying to find the original one, I have to work backwards. Okay, so I just did the opposite. So instead of subtracting 4, I added 4, and instead of subtracting 1, I added 1 to my y. And if you do that, -2 plus 4 is a +2. And then -4 plus 1 is a -3. And then you can kind of check your work. You could also guess and check. So 2, if I go to the left 4, do I get -2? Yes. And then -3, if I go to the left 1, do I get -4? Yes. So you can kind of use the graph too to see B is here, and do the opposite is going to get you in the other direction. Okay? So that's how you would work in reverse order to find the pre-image. They give you the pre-image, go forward. Image, go backwards. Okay? All right, thanks for paying attention on transformations and compositions of them. So again, composition is doing something more than once. All right, thanks for watching. Get to practicing. That was not planned. That's cool though.